Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Do you want to know what it is? You can feel it when you go to work, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And welcome everyone to King James Bible University. I'm Elder Michael Johnson with the Lost Sheep of Israel, and today we're going through Precept Mastery, and actually I'm trying to get a couple of things set up. So if you give me 1 minute, we're going to be going through this week's teaching for the Israelite study. So just give me 1 second to where I can get everything done here, because I have one other part, and I should be pretty much done there. But I just need to get this one part up, and then we can move through this. Then we can move through the study. So, but hopefully everybody is ready to go through. Actually, I have part of this up, and then this weekly study. Because I do apologize, we was out of town. So as I was setting it up, there was some stuff that was that actually wasn't here. So I got to make sure that it's there to where I can go through it. That was part of the problem. And my biggest thing is I hate to start anything late. I been trained from that, and I want to make sure that the sound and everything is good. I'll try to make sure a couple of other things was good. And this went through, and I'm trying to check this last one, and I think we are pretty good. I believe we're good. So what we want to do, we want to look through, and I'm going to actually be going from 2 different monitors, and that's because I'm going to tell you, it was really set up quite differently from what I had. And why it did that, I don't know. But either way, we got to move. So what I want to do, we want to look at, from this week's study, we want to look at preparing your body and preparing the temple. And your temple is new, but you think that it's new, but you want to see how it's being prepared. So can you prepare for mulled wine? That's something we need to really look at. That's something that many people different. Many people do things differently. However, it's not done in quite that fashion. So how we got to look at this, and I want to make sure in actually 1 second, because we're getting some stuff in here, and and I want to make sure that everything that goes on through here, just posting stuff like Christmas stuff, we literally focusing on the lesson, not focusing on changing the narrative. So and if it continue, I'm just going to have to remove them from out the class. But the main thing is we want to make sure preparing the temple with from old wine. So we got to find out how this actually goes. And we taking this from Luke. If you actually look at Luke, and you look at chapter 5 and we're looking at 2 through 39, we got to look at seeing how that. So we're going to look at this and make sure you have your pen and paper, because over here, or if you have the book, make sure that you can be able to take notes with this, because it's going to be a lot of, as we go down and as we go through those sections, it's going to be a lot of precepts given. So you want to make sure you have your pencil and paper ready. And I believe I have my 2 Bibles set up correctly this time to where we won't have no issues. So we're gonna look at this, and we're gonna go through. So I'm gonna push this over, and we're gonna look at some of this and see what goes down through here. And we're looking at here, and we're looking at preparing a new temple from old wine. And we taking this from Luke chapter 5, verse 2 through 39, Sirach, or in some people Bible, it's going to say Ecclesiasticus 9, 1 through 10, and we're looking at Hosea 9, 2 through 15. And we want to see exactly how do this look as a whole. You need to see how this look as a whole. Now, this is the thing to where we're going to go through, and we're going to look at it as a whole. So I'm setting up the other side right now, and I'm going to put it in Luke, and we're going to see something. 1 second. Let me get this Luke chapter 5, and I'm going through verse 2. So now let me put this over here, and you should be able to see. So now I have both Bibles up, and I can run both, so it makes it a lot simpler for me. Because as we start running, I can make you see the different things to where you can see side by side how these precepts actually work. So let's go through it. I'm looking at it. I'm checking to make sure it looks pretty good over on the screen, and it looks pretty good to where you can see it. I do know some people are on a if you're on your smartphone, I know it might be a little bit harder for you to see. I'm not sure, but I know if you're looking at it from your computer or from your desktop, I'm pretty sure you should be able to see it pretty good. Because right now I'm looking at it also from a tablet just to view it, and I actually can see everything right now. So what we're looking at, we gotta see what's going on, and we're gonna start at verse 2, and it says, "And saw 2 ships standing by the lake, but the fishermen were gone out of them, were washing their nets." So this is where we started from. Now, we want to understand the old bottles that we got to get into, because we want to understand exactly what this entire scripture is saying. And we're going to look at that. Now we're going to look at verse 3. It says, "And he entered into one of the ships, which was Simon's, and prayed him that he would thrust out a little from the land, and he sat down and he taught the people out of the ship." So what is this saying as a whole? We want to understand what this is saying as a whole to understand exactly what is going on. Now we're going to start getting to a lot of different things here on what we need to know and exactly. One second. One second. Having a little hiccup here. One little hiccup. So give me 1 second. Now we got it. Okay, so now we want to see what's going on. So verse 4, and it says, now when he had left speaking, he said to Simon, launch out into the deep and let down your net for a draw. What is he talking about, a draw? Because this is one of the main key parts on what we need to know. So what is a draw? That's what we got to focus on. Why he's saying this draw? Because if we don't know what a draw is, we're going to have a little bit of problem as we continue to go forward and to find out exactly what was going on. So what we want to know is, what was Peter doing? What was he doing to figure out how we can get 3, 4, and 5 tied together to understand as a whole what was going on? Because verse 5, it tells you, and Simon answering, saying unto him, Master, I have toiled all night and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. Okay, so we know a couple of things that happened here. Now we're looking at what he was doing. One, he wanted to teach you something. He's telling you that because he said, and he taught the people out of the ship. So if you're going to teach the people out of the ship, we have to understand how all this actually works together. All this have to work together. So one problem, as we're going to look at it and we're going to work up some, we're going to look at a couple of things. One problem he had is one thing of what? We're going to see what Peter did, and Peter said he had toiled all the night. He toiled all the night. So why are you going to toil all the night? That's problem one. So let's look at this. We're going to go over here. We're going to go to Isaiah, and we're going to look at something and find out exactly what's going on. So we're going to go to 49, and we're going to look at what this looks like. So at verse 4, it says, and then said I have labored in vain, and I have spent my strength not in vain, yet surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. Now, if your work is with God and you labored in vain, and this is what he was toiling, because he had toiled all the night, and he was laboring in vain. How can you sit there and you toil all the night, and the key thing in there is night? We have to remember what's going on. So if you sit there and you say, well, I toil all night, why are you toiling at night? Why are you working at night? Is what he's saying. To get a better view of this, we're going to go over to Job. To get a better view of this, we're going to go to Job 39. We're going to go to verse 16. And it says, she is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Meaning what? See, this spirit is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Now, you can see even verse 17 is telling you, because Yahweh have deprived her wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. So now we know something. If you toiling at night, why are you sitting there and you thinking you're going to gain judgment or understanding from something that's doing something, especially towards God, is what he's saying. But we got to understand what night is, because night, we're looking at the functioning of how this word actually works. We're not looking at the function far as, oh, well, is that night, we're at night, we got to see what's doing something. But when you know how night functions, we can understand what that means. Meaning this to what we're going to go through. because Yahushua made that clear when we were sitting there, as he was saying, at night. And he says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. You don't work during the night. You don't do this during the night. The night cometh when no man can work. Why? Because it's dark. You can't see. He's making this clear. One must work during the day, not at night. So when he sit there and now you go back over here and you look at what Simon did, what did Simon say? What did Simon say the first time? Simon already had told him that he had toiled all night. And he tell verse 5, Simon answered and said unto him, Master, we have toiled all the night. Why? So if Peter and them was studying the scriptures correctly, they would have known not to do this. He's showing them something spiritual to where they can see physical. And this is what we do. We look at everything physically. Everything. We look at so much stuff carnally, it's unreal. Why are we looking at it carnally? And he spoke spiritually. Look at it this way. Let's just go down to verse chapter 11, and we're going to look at it a little bit more. Let's look at it a little bit more. In verse 10, it says, But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth because there is no light in him. There is no light in him. So if a man walk in the night, he's going to stumble. How can we sit there and believe that we're going to be doing these things verbatim and we can do it at day or night? And he already gave you the instructions. And Simon was supposed to follow this pattern. This is the pattern for many years in new ways that's being taught and being blind by the laws of God. This is what we do. We do this automatically. Many people want to teach you and do things, and they're teaching you and they have no light in them. So we have to understand how this works, because many people still, even on this here, you might have to replay this because it has a lot. You might have to replay this because it has a lot of meat that's going to be in here, but it's a lot of spiritual understanding in here, which it can confuse the reader. Because he says something that was real clear. He says right here in verse 5. See, he said, in Simon answered and said unto him, Master, I have toiled all the night. See, but he didn't catch nothing. Nothing. But he said a key thing here. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. At thy word. So he said, what I'm going to do, even though I toiled all the night, however, I'm going to let down the net at thy word. At thy word, I'm going to do this. We going in to where we can understand everything that's going on. So let's look at it, and we got to go through everything. We're going to go down to John 12 and 30. 12 and 30. To understand what was going on here. And it says, and Yahushua answered, this voice cannot because of me, but for your sakes. But for your sakes. Now is judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of the world be cast out. And if I be lifted up from the earth, meaning what? You can't see him at night. Will draw all men unto me. So the only way he can see that, how he can draw all men is to see that, he had to do it from the physical to get him to understand what he was saying spiritually. How can he sit there if he be lifted up in the day? he can draw all men to him. How do that look? Go right over here to verse 6. And when he had done, and when he had this done, he enclosed a great multitude of fish in and their nets break. Are you following? And they beckoned unto their partners which were in other ships, and they come to help them, and they came and filled both the ships, and they began to sink. What did he say here? He's tying everything together to where you can understand what he was saying. At thy word, he said, okay, I'm going to do it based on your word. So, excuse me. So the reason is looking up a couple of things. One, he's telling you right here, now is the judgment of this world. He's telling you this. The prince of this world, Satan, will be cast out. He's telling you right there. The prince of this world will be cast out. We can go over there to Revelations chapter 12. And you see, he'll be cast out. However, he said he will let down his nets that would draw. This is part of what we're looking at here. So when you see everything here, we have to clearly get what he was saying all the time, and we have to look at things and see how he was drawing the physical to where he was bringing it over spiritually. But if we don't do this, we have so many people who will teach according to the flesh and not according to the spirit, because they can't see the differentiate between the two. This is the problem. This here, he's telling you, okay, I need you to do this, and I'm gonna draw these men to me. The same thing. He said, now, as you guys are being fishers of fish, we're gonna turn these fish into men. He said, because I'm gonna make you fishers of men. You'd see where you even talk. But if you can't look at it spiritually, how can it help you? It can't. Because most people don't always look at things physically and not understand what he was saying spiritually. But it gets deeper than this, because the main thing is, how can you fill an old bottle with new wine? Or is the wine new at all? See, this is the catch. And this is something we have to find out. So as we continue, we got to find out what is actually happening here. So we want to look at this in a better way. We want to look at this in a better way to understand how this is all working to where Peter now understood. Because as Peter continued the work, and Peter had enclosed a great multitude of fish, and he beckoned other people to come. Okay, so now we got to understand exactly what did Peter catch, what happened. Let's look at verse 8. It says, and when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Yahweh's knees, saying, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord. I am a sinful man. Okay, now all Peter did, only thing Peter did is what? Only thing Peter did is drew down the nets based on what Yahweh told him. He did it, gathered a lot of fish, and once those fish was gathered, all of a sudden, Peter said he's a sinful man. There's more to it, to where Peter caught something. Peter caught on to something. Peter understood something based on what he did. This is how you need to look at it, because many people just ran past that and just, oh, so Peter fell on his knees and said, depart from me, I'm a sinful man. But why? Why did Peter even do that? Did Peter now understand what Yahweh physically, to get him to understand what was being going on spiritually? See, this is our problem. Our problem, a lot of times, he can show us physical things constantly, and we'll never get them. Why? Because we see everything physical. And then sometimes we'll base our lifestyles and everything physical, what you see physically, and he's not talking about that at all. He's showing you physical things to bring you closer to Christ spiritually. That's all he ever been doing. So when you see these things, you have to understand what he's talking about all the time. But many of us going to always see it a different way. It says that he was a sinful man, for he was astonished. He was astonished in all that were with him at the draw of the fishes which he had taken. They could not believe it. They could not believe it. I'm talking about they didn't. Their ships almost sunk. They began to sink. They were drawing so many fishes. Tells you that it's right here. Tells you this. And all the fishes had taken, and so was also James and John, the sons of Zebedee, which were partners with Simon. And Yahushua said to Simon, "Fear not, from henceforth thou shalt catch men." He's clarifying what he's been doing all the entire time. You should catch men. How are you going to catch men? And most people teach, and as they teaching in a way to where, okay, well, I caught fish, so how can I translate this into men? How can I put this into men? How can I translate this to where I can understand it to where it's talking about men? Because he only did one thing. He just told him to drop his net down. He only told him to do these certain things. So how did he do it? And then now all of a sudden, Yahweh told him, "I'm gonna make you a fisher of men." See, this is nothing more than a comparison on what he's been talking about the entire time. But let's look on. Let's look on. And it says, "And when they brought their ships to land, they forsook all and followed him." Why? That's a question you need to put next to your Bible and remove the period, and you put why, and you put you. You. Put a you, why? You need to answer that question. See, they got it, but did you get it? Because it's going to get a little bit more hairy as we go down. So many people, oh, I got it. But we got to find out, did you actually get it? See, these men was filled with this new wine. Like, you follow it. Because I told you, it's a switch. See, these men was filled with these, and they have these old bodies, but they got new wine, and they're not filling them with the correct wine. See, they filling themselves with new wine, and they got old bottles. Are you following? So how you going to sit there and you have an old body from the beginning, and you filling it with new wine? Do that make any sense? Do that make any sense whatsoever? How are you going to fill an old body, that which was from the beginning, you're going to fill it with new wine, and you have an old body? Let's look at something. Let's look at something here to understand what has actually happened, because this is being taught so screwed up in churches. It's unreal. It's being taught so screwed up. Let's go down to verse 17. Let's pull more information to get this, and this is here And this right now, when you look at this, and we're going to look at verse 12, and we're going to look at something. So it says, and it came to pass when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, full of leprosy, full of leprosy. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. And many times what I do, I will repeat certain things because that's something I want you to mainly really focus on. So I do that a lot of times, and I'll repeat it. I repeat it. I repeat it because I want you to focus on that itself. It says, "Who seeing Yahushua fell on his face and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. Thou canst make me clean. Not if his will, but if it's thy will, make me clean." He was full of leprosy. Now today they teach you leprosy is something completely different. Don't have nothing to do with leprosy of the scripture. Absolutely nothing. But they'll show you leprosy is completely different than what it says, so they can sit there and they can fool you on everything else. And to make sure you clearly understand this comparison and how you understand this is what? He's saying, I'm full of leprosy. So if he's full of leprosy, what is he full of? What is he full of if he's full of leprosy? So we have to look at something. Actually, let's go back and I'm going to show you something. If he's full of leprosy, let's look at this. Let's look at this, because some people might need this to relate to it. And that's why I'm going to pull here, excuse me, to where we can understand exactly what's going on. Okay, it says, Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman he had married. Okay, you got that, get that in your head. They spoke against Moses. And they said, have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have not he spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. So just remember that. Just keep that in mind. So he called them down, and what happened? Now watch what went on based on that alone. Based on that alone. And it said, and the Lord came down in the pillar of a cloud and stood at the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they came forth. Now, mind you, if you look up there, he called all three. He called Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. But watch this. And we're going to see, was it a sin or was it evil? Which is also sin. Let's look at this. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, he's making himself clear, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will also speak to him in a dream. Clear. But we have many people today going to speak to you and say, the Lord spoke to me and he told me this. He's telling you clearly how he's going to do it. In a vision and in a dream. Why? He's going to show you an illustration of something. He's going to show you something, and then you have to figure it out because it's based on precepts. Meaning what? I'll show you one real quick, and then I go back to it. I'm going to show you one real quick. You're going to show him in a vision or in a dream. In a vision or in a dream. Keep that in mind. Now, we know this clearly what went on. Now we're going to see, let me get down to right where it is. And we want to get down right about here. And it says, well, let me start at verse 9. And on the morrow, when they went journey, they went and they drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up on top of the upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. He became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance, a vision. So he fell into a trance, and he gonna see a vision. Now watch what happened. And he saw heaven open and certain vessel descending upon him, and it began, and it being a great sheep knit at the four corners, and came down to the earth, wearing all manner of four-footed beasts. All manner. It don't say all unclean beasts. It says all manner of beasts. But this again, they teach you incorrectly. And wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. Now, yeah, many people believe this, and they think he cleaned everything. They putting new wine in an old bottle. They put in new wine in an old bottle. How? As he said this, he has, and then what Peter said. Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And that voice spake to him again a second time. What God has cleansed, that is not called thou common. So he's telling him all together is this as a whole. These people who is calling themselves something else, they're not common. They're not common. They're not even unclean. But it's what they believe and what they don't believe. Do you follow? Because if they're unclean as a whole, it cannot be clean. I know they screwed up a lot of people, but we're gonna work all that out right now. What he's saying as a whole, if you was born as a Hebrew and you held on to the promise of Israel, you're clean. Now what he's saying is this: if you was born a Gentile, how are you gonna be unclean and become clean? Because it wasn't clean from the beginning. It was unclean. But a Hebrew was clean at the beginning, but it's up to you. Either you're going to become unclean, impure, or you're going to keep it clean. This is all he's saying. But many people will mix that up. But watch out. Now he done this twice. And the vessel was raised up again. Now to show you, Peter had to figure this out. This is why we know what the Most High said over there. We're going to go back to it. It says, now while Peter doubted himself what this vision he had seen should mean, behold, the men that were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry of Simon's house, and they stood before the gate. What it mean? He said, I'm going to make myself known in a vision or in a dream. He was in a vision because he had already told you he fell into a trance, and he had a vision. Tells you right here. And the Most High telling you right here. He makes this clear. So he told them clear, hear my word, for if there be a prophet among you, the Lord will make himself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream. Why are we having people telling you stuff and they don't have to sit there and precept absolutely nothing? And they can tell you what the Most High is saying verbatim. And this is the problem that we have. And he spake to, and he said, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. So none of his name is Moses. Why are we sitting there and we have people pouring new wine in an old bottle. Why do we have these people doing that? Because he says there's more. Who is faithful in all my house, with him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, not in dark speeches, and in the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then ye were not afraid of my servant Moses. So every time you have these preachers, they can take this and they can try to rip it apart, but you can see this is all scripture. They can tear this apart all day. But when you have these people calling themselves the Most High servants, and they telling you they can sit there and he told them this and he told them that, and they didn't have to figure out anything, and they can just tell you verbatim, and their book is closed, and they can't show you exactly what the Most High said. They're gonna tell you out their own mouth. They lying. Number two, they're not a servant. They're not a servant of the Most High God. Because he made himself clear right there. I'm done crystal clear. And he went on more. And he said, and same thing, what he's saying, when they do that, they're not afraid to speak against Moses. Meaning what? They're not afraid to speak against the law. Moses represents the law. That's all this is saying. So if they're not afraid to speak against the law, and it angered the Lord, which was kindled against them, and he departed. And then the cloud departed off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous. White as snow. And most people don't know why is this here is tied to lepers. Most people don't understand why the two is there. Because most people believe, well, it's white as snow that, so she was pure. Because most people even, they look at white folks and they say, well, they're pure. And most white folks will say Yahweh Shai, or they want to say Jesus was this white man, and they want to talk about how pure that white is. It is not saying that. We've never said that. It's not even saying it here. It's telling you right now, they're going to appear leprous, white as snow. But the inside is full of dead man bones. It's showing you the contrary to what it is. So she should have been pure, but he's showing you on the outwardly, on the outside of her, she was leprous. She was looking pure as if she was this godly person. But inside was what? Was full of dead man bones. Why? You see right here. You go right back up. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses. And what happened? She became leprous. What was showing on the inside came on the outside. She want to sit there and say how good she was, and he's showing you what she's really about. This is why we have that problem. So let's go back, and we're going to look at everything back to what we need to do, and get a better understanding now on what was happening, on what was going down. So it came to pass, and it goes down, and he told him, saying, Lord, if thou can make me clean. So we understand what now making him clean. Why? Because he was leprous. He was completely leprous. So if he's leprous, he's letting you know inside he was unclean. He's telling you this. He's making this clear as day to you. He was unclean from the inside, but he wanted to be clean. So let's look at this all together. And it says, neither do men put new wine into old bottles, or else the bottles break, and the wine runneth out, and the bottles perish, but put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved. See now, he's throwing you right here. Because you can't put new wine in an old bottle. And you can't put that into flesh. Because the body is old. So why are you trying to put new knowledge inside of an old body? This is the problem. Let's look at some more precepts to understand a little bit closer on what's going on. We're gonna go to the same chapter, but we're gonna go down to verse 39. Let's go down to verse 39. And we're gonna get a little bit more information. It says, no man also having drunk old wine straightway desireth new. For he said, the old is better. But he's actually drinking new wine. You have people today that sit there and say, I have grown up on this. This new way of doctrine on all this stuff is new to me. So with all this new wine and all this stuff, see, this is old wine to me, and this is what I'm used to. But there's wine that actually is older than that actually goes along with your body. Are you following how you actually flip this in you? Because right now we have all these churches is drinking new wine in their old bodies. That's in there, old bodies. So men having old ways will not convert to the new ways, which was old ways from the beginning. Are you following me? This is all this is saying. In the new ways is the old ways from the beginning, which is the righteousness of God. Let's look at it. I told you we got a lot of precepts we got to run through here to understand exactly what he's talking about all the time. He's run these to where we can see what's happening. So we're going to go to 2 Samuel, and we're going to go right here to verse chapter 22, and we're going to go down to verse 21. Let's get this clear understanding. 21, and he tells you, the Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness of my hands, which means the work you being produced, have he recompensed me. So what work have you been doing? So you have many people who sit there and they're going to do things physically. Oh, well, we built this person a house. We did this. We done did that. We done did this. We done did that. We done did this. And that ain't even what the Most High was talking about. Don't have nothing what he's talking about. Absolutely nothing. Let's go down, and we're going to go down to Psalms to get a better understanding. We're going to go down 18 to pull more precepts that's in there. Now, some people might don't have the Israelite weekly study, but you can write these precepts, which they're going to be really kind of tight. I was thinking, but that's a good idea, not a good idea, because you'll be loading your Bible up with precepts. But some people will, and that's what you might have to do. But let's look at this. Let's go down to verse 20, and it said, "The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness. My hands have recompensed me." Understand, verse 24. And it goes down. "Therefore had the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness of my hands in his eyesight." Because we're supposed to be doing something. All the time. All the time. People will tell you, oh, well, what is all this? As it says, he's telling you Old Testament, and is all everything. Why you think Yahushua in the back of the book, he tells you, it is written, it is written. It is written. He's saying this over 100, I think over 140 times. He's constantly saying, it is written. It is written. It is written. It is written. Written. It is written. He's not changing nothing. He's referring you back to the Old Testament. He's going to refer you back there. We have people who will sit there and they call themselves, some people will sit there and tell me, many times. I have one gentleman, he kind of said, well, I'm a rabbi. But he does it in a disrespectful way. And then I'm an Old Testament preacher. See, they can say these things to disrespect because they don't know, but he had constantly called to understand what the Old Testament is saying. Now, he calls me for that. But as I told him, I know both sides. I know the old and the new. The old is where you got to get all your meat and understanding from. This is why this is going on with Peter. And it's according to his righteousness. And this is why one reason why Peter fell on his knees. You see right here? He saw it. And you see this other one where he's talking about make him clean. Peter even said that he's a sinful man. Why? Let's look at this a little bit closer. Because you're going to be judged based on your righteousness. You're going to be judged on your righteousness alone. How? Let's go here. We're going to go to Psalms chapter 7, verse 8. You need to write that down. And it says, the Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity that is in me. That is in me. You're going to be judged according to your righteousness. There's no way around this. No way around this. The righteousness is what we need. Because if we're not doing righteousness, we're doing opposite of that. And we got to go down to Psalms 98, verse 9, and get a little bit more. Before Yahweh, for he cometh to judge the earth with righteousness. Period. Shall he judge the world? The world, we already know who the world is. And the people with equity. This is how he's coming. It goes more when we look at it, you're going to see even more on what he's doing. We're going to go to 103, verse 17. 103, verse 17. But the mercy, but the love of Yahweh is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him. Now, we just read what? Many is not going to fear his law. Just not. And his righteousness unto children's children. Are you following? Let's go down. We got to pour more in here to pound this into us, to understand what he really means business. We got Psalms 103 and 6. Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. Not sometimes, not every now and then, all times. Are you prepared to do this? So is righteousness with new wine that it has over 45,000 plus different Christian denominations. And all of them have war with each other. They're cool with one another, but they're at war because all of them have a different belief. So which one is doing righteousness? At all times. They do things physically, thinking they're doing something that's pleasing God. Physically pleasing God. And God never said that. You filling yourself with new wine and thinking it's being put in a new bottle. Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's go down to 119. We're going to go down to verse 40. In verse 40, and it tells you clearly, behold, I have longed after thy precepts. That's according to the precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. In thy righteousness. Why? 142 tells you clear as day. And we're going to go down to Psalms 119, 142. Thy righteousness is everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. So the truth can be spoken to you, but many people are not going to believe it. Many people are not going to believe this. Why? Because they're going to adjust it and readjust it and believe that they is holding on to something that is not there. It gets even more, and down in verse 72, 172. Yeah, dang it. I don't know why it's hanging. Yeah. And I can't get to it. Actually, I can't get, this one will not let me get to it. It's not going to let me get to it. No, it pops. It pops and won't let me go back out, but that's okay. That's okay. But our main part is this one. Let's look at why we need to be doing righteousness all the time. Righteousness needs to be coming all the time because we're going to go down to Deuteronomy chapter 6 and we're going to look at verse 24. It says, and the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes and to fear Yahweh our God for our good always, that he may preserve us alive, to where you can think, you have the ability to comprehend things that's going on. You're alive as it is this day. And it should be our righteousness if, providing we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our God as he hath commanded us. Are you following? Are you following? So we have to understand how this is actually going through and how this works. Because if you don't obey the word, you're going to be slain by the word. If you don't obey the word, you're going to be slain by the word. We have to understand because the word is old. But we have to continue to move forward and to understand how this all works out. Let's go down to Isaiah chapter 22 to get a better and clearer picture on what we need to do. Verse 2, it says, thou that art full of stairs, a tumultuous city, a joyous city, They slain men are not slain with the sword, nor dead in battle. All thy rulers are fled together. They are bound by the archers. All that are found in thee are bound together, which have fled from far. Are you with us? Watch this. Therefore, for that reason alone, said I, look away from me, I will weep bitterly, labor not to comfort me because of the spoiling of the daughter of my people. I'm going to keep pouring this new wine into them. I'm going to keep pouring this new wine into them. I'm going to try to get this new stuff into them because I don't want them drinking that what they want to call new wine, which is from the beginning, but they're going to think it's new wine, and my wine is old. This is the flip. Meaning what? Let's get a little bit closer. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 5. It really is the beginning, but most people think it's the end. But let's look at this. Chapter 5, verse 12. And it tells us very clear. It says, saying with a loud voice worthy of the Lamb that was slain, receive power, riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessings. See, now, the worthy is the Lamb, and the first thing they're going to think is what? Yahweh, well, that's Yahweh Shai. Never said that. This is what I keep saying. This is the flip in the trip that gets many people. It's saying, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessings. But let's move forward. In every creature which is in heaven and on the earth, under the earth, which such are in the sea, all that are in them heard the saying, blessing and honor and glory and power unto him that sitteth upon the throne. Which you got to see. That language changed in what happened. In the Lamb and under the Lamb forever and ever. Now we have to understand how this old body is seeking the same thing. Because he tells it clear when we look over here at verse 15. He said it clear right here. He says, but as much that went to the fame abroad of him, the great multitude came together to hear, and to be healed by him of their infirmities. By their infirmities. Why? You go right back up to verse 5. Verse 5, it tells you what? And Simon said unto him, Master, I have toiled all night and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. At thy word, they came together to hear. He heard it, and to be healed of their infirmities. Now, how it goes? And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed, and came to pass on a certain day as he was teaching that there were Pharisees and doctors of the law sitting by. Pharisees and doctors of the law sitting by, which were come out of every town of Galilee and Judea in Jerusalem, and the power of the Lord was present to heal them. And who was there? Let's look at it a little bit closer. We got to go closer to get closer to it. Let's go back to Matthew. Let's go back to Matthew to understand how all this is planned together. We're going back to Matthew 12 and 15. And he tells you, But Jesus knew and withdrew himself from this, and a great multitude followed him, and he healed them. But this great multitude was who? He withdrew himself into the wilderness. In the wilderness. Are you following? So it goes down to this. Let's go down to verse 30. Let's look at something real good. Let's go down to verse 30. And it says, but their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying, why do ye eat and drink with publicans and sinners? Why do you do this? And Yahushua answered them that they are whole, need not a physician, but they are sick. They are sick. I come not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. Meaning this, many people going to continue, as they say, they go and they call themselves Christian, they want to do all these things. They go into these places, but they're going to tell you clearly they are not sick. Are you following? They're not sick. Let's look at this, and I'm going to put this on the side of it. Let's go down to Luke, and we're going to look at another part. We're going to see in adjacent to that, and look at something. Why? Because I want to show you what's going on. They saying, and as he said, if you already feel you're righteous and you're good, because you have this new wine in an old bottle, but you thinking you're good. How? Because we're going to see this adjacent to that. Meaning what? Let's look at Luke 15, verse 4. It says, what man of you having 100 sheep, and if he lose one of them, do not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after which is lost until he find it. Are you following this? See, many people are going to tell you the 99 is these righteous ones. That's what he's talking about. They're not righteous, but they calling themselves righteous. Are you following this? People will sit there and they'll tell you, well, we're saved already. We're good. We're holy. We holy. We're good. We are already this. We're good. A man having 100 sheep and he lose one, leave not the 99 righteous and went after that sinner. Are you following this? We have them, they're in churches like this. It's unreal. And just like I said, many people will sit there and I say, my thing always. Now I hold on to what I hold on to. You hold on to what you hold on to. Because Precept shows me exactly what I need to see. So I'm going to hold on to what I got. If it's wrong and I'm seeing and it's all Precept and I don't see no contradiction based on what I'm doing, okay, I'm going to roll that way. The way you showing me, I see contradictions everywhere. But if you want to hold to that, you hold to that. At the end, he's going to do the separation. But he's leaving 99 who believe they're righteous in the wilderness, where danger is, where wolves are, to devour those flocks. He's going after that one. And he goes after it until he found it. And when he had henceforth found it, he laid up on his shoulders, rejoicing. But what happened? When he cometh home, he called together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost. Now, I'm going to show you a problem. What is the main problem? The main problem here is, how is it he went and found the one sheep. He found the one sheep. Why he didn't go back to the wilderness and get the nine? In the wilderness. He didn't go there. He didn't go there because they already felt they didn't need no repentance. They're good. This is the problem we have even today. As it continually goes on and it continues, they feel they're good. And it says, and I say unto you that likewise joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repented. One sinner, as he's saying right here, I come not to call the righteous, not these ones who think they're good. Drunken with that new wine. But I came to the sinner for repentance. The same as it was a publican and a sinner. There was a Pharisee and a publican in the temple praying. The publican telling him everything otherwise with all he did. I tithe twice a week, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. He's good. I'm not like that sinner over there. And he's telling you all the time what he's doing. And he's telling you, and there should be joy in heaven over one sinner that repented more than over 99 just persons that need no repentance. You see, you ain't talking about sheep. Now, it was sheep, not sheep. 100 sheep, 99 in one left. 99 in the wilderness, now 99 persons. He's telling you the entire time he's talking about it. The entire time what he's been saying the entire time, and most of us flip this over and we don't understand why he's saying that. And you look at verse 36 as it goes down, he gets in a little bit more. And now he spake a parable unto them. No man putteth a piece of a new garment upon old. If otherwise, then both the new maketh it rent, and the piece that was taken out of the new garment, not with the old. Meaning what? Let's look at this. And no man putteth new wine in old bottles. Making yourself clear. You can't put new way and Christian dumb doctrines and all this stuff. You can't put this in an old bottle. In the beginning, he created us. In the seventh day of the creation. And now we're trying to put new wine in the old bottle. Else the new wine will burst the bottle and will spill, and the bottle shall perish. Exactly the point. Meaning what as a whole? You're going to the hot place. You're going to where you're going to be where you don't want to be. You're going to hell. And once you leave hell, he's going to cast hell into the lake of fire. Where you going? He's giving you these silhouette pictures to understand how you cannot be putting this doctrines of the day in there, and the doctrine is clearly in the Bible. And we do it. We do this like it's nothing. We do this like clockwork. which brings us to the second part. Let me pull it up. Let me pull this up real quick. We got to go to Sirach. More. Sirach chapter 9. And another Sirach chapter 9. And we got it right there. And let me pull this over. So we have to look at this all together and understand what is happening here. So we got Sirach chapter 9. Looking at Sirach 9, let me get it over to Sirach 9:1 and get that clear. Let me pull mine over there. Where am I into? There we go. 9:1. And I want to see in the same thing. We want to pull these precepts to understand a lot of this. And the only way we can understand the Bible is to use precepts. If we don't use precepts, you're wasting your time reading the Bible. When you have men want to sit there and they want to go to commentary, they want to go to concordances, they want to go to dictionary, they want to go to all these things and to these extents to show you what the Bible is saying is one, he's being foolish. One, two, it's the stupidest thing to do. The Most High don't need no help. I'm gonna help the Lord. I'm gonna write a book with a commentary. How you gonna help him? So we have to understand this new wine. And it tells you right here in Psalm 9:1. It says, "Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself." I'm talking this. This is so plain. If you're looking at it spiritually, it's unreal. But most people are gonna sit there and tell you this is a wife physical, and it don't even say that. Are you following? This is the biggest problem we have in Christian doctrine today. We have many people calling themselves Israelites, and they might well just call themselves a Christian because they have no spiritual understanding whatsoever. None. They say they're in the spiritual thing and don't have no spiritual understanding nowhere. They'll take everything as label. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. I don't, that's a lesson within itself, and it's going to get even more. But it's talking about a covering. We're going actually let me give you an example. I got to go off topic. Well, I'm gonna go somewhere else just to show you what is actually happening. That's what I'm actually gonna do. Because I wasn't gonna, but we have to do this to where we can all get this together. We're gonna go to 1 Kings chapter 6. 1 Kings chapter 6. Let's look at something real close. Let's look at this real close. Chapter 6, verse 15, I believe. Yeah, verse 15. Let's look at something real quick. It says, "And he built the walls of the house within the broad of the cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling. He covereth them on the inside with wood, and covereth the floor, the house, with planks of fir." And people saying, what in the world is this talking about? That's talking about you. That's talking about you. You are a cedar tree. But besides that, besides getting into a whole nother topic to pull everything, this is physically talking about you. Let's go down to verse 30. Let's go down to verse 30 and look at it a little bit more. And it says, "In the floor of the house he overlaid with gold within and without." The floor means what? The floor means spirits. Now you follow me? The floor means spirit, the body, the soul. It's the covenant. So when you look at this as a whole, he's making himself clear all the time. Meaning what? Back to what we was going through, we're going to go to Matthew chapter 3, verse 12, and understand what he was saying. And it's saying this, whose fan in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor, his body, his soul, and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. Actually, make sure you guys use that other precept, because those two precepts is actually go even tighter with this. 1 Kings 6:15 and 1 Kings 6:30. Why? Because it's going to show you clear what's going on. He's going to purge his floor. He's going to purge that body. He's going to purge that soul. That's all he's saying. He want to get that out, and that floor is those spirits. So the only way to do that is he got to do what? He got to do the wine press. He got to press it. See, the wine, we talking about a grape. Think about, just keep that in mind, a grape. So when you put a grape in a wine press, what's going to happen? The skin in the flesh is not going to be used over in the wine. The only thing left is wine. The skin and everything is no good. The flesh is no good. Are you with me? Follow how this goes. Let's look at something. Let's go to Lamentations to get a better, clear picture on what we need to see. Lamentations chapter 1. We're going to go down to verse 15 to get a clear picture. Verse 15, get a clear picture. It said, the Lord hath trodden under foot all mighty men in the midst of me. He calleth an assembly against me and crushed my young men. The Lord hath trodden the virgin, the daughter of Judah, as in a winepress. Are you following? As in a winepress. He's going to separate us. This is going to be separated. The only thing he wants is the juice. He don't want the skin. He don't want the flesh. For these things I weep, my eyes runneth down with water, because the comforter that should revive my soul, the same thing, revive my floor, the same thing, is far from me. My children are desolate because the enemy prevailed. Why are we letting that happen? Why are we letting this thing happen? Let's pull the law to get a closer thing to what we got to see, and try to pull everything together. 15 and verse 14 should give you better and clear confirmation on what we need. And it says, thou shalt furnish him liberty out of thy flock. And out of thy floor. Liberty out of thy flock. Liberty out of thy flock. Out of thy floor and out of thy winepress. And of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. What's left in the winepress. So whatever comes out at the end is what he's seeking. He's not seeking what goes into the winepress, that skin and everything that goes with it. He's not seeking that. So if he's not seeking that, why not look down and get the understanding? It says, gaze not upon a maid. That thou fall not by those things that are precious in her. Do we do this? Do it all day long. We do this all day long. You got to run back and forth to some of the same stuff that's going to all blend all in together. See, why teach or learn the things against you and according to men and not according to the ways of God? Meaning this, because same thing, some of these precepts are going to run all together. It says, give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. Give not a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. Deuteronomy 33:11. Keep this always in mind. Always keep this in mind. Bless the Lord for his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite though the lions of them that raise against him, of them that hate him, that they rise not again. We trade in substance of the world for substance of the spirit. Why we have to really get together and get our understanding together and not do these things. Because we trade in things for the world. Meaning what? We trade in fleshly things. Genesis, it tells you, Genesis 12:5, it says, and Abraham forsook Sarah his wife and Lot his brother and took all their substance that they had gathered in the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth and go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. They took all their substance. The substance of the Lord is spiritual. Fleshly. We trying to pour fleshly things in our spirit. How can you do that? That don't even make sense. If you sitting there saying, I want a plane. How can you put a plane in your spirit? Can it fit? How can you put a Bentley in your spirit and take it to heaven? Can it fit? It's going through the wine press. Nothing fleshly going to come out on the other end. As it says in Colossians, we have to just have this understanding all the time on what we're doing. 2:17, it tells you, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. Christ is 100% spirit. 100% spirit, and we trying to take fleshly things and put them in our spirit, and we thinking we can take that to heaven. Trying to put new things in our old body. He already put what was supposed to be there. He goes on more where he talks about even here. Verse 3, it says, meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares. I'm talking about People will sit there and tell you harlots, and they want to keep equating something. And he says it's harlot because he want to equate this with what you see fleshly, and you equate it spiritually. Why do we continually sit there and want to equate a harlot? We want to put it with everything else. Everything else, we equate it to everything else and don't even look at ourselves. We don't even look at ourselves. But we're going to see right here, it's us that have the problem. He teaches us according to precepts, and we chooses not to do that. We choose to sit there to do everything else and to develop. They didn't develop more than 45,000 different doctrines out of one book. Out of one book. And we'll sit there and we'll hold on to it because this person was charismatic. Oh yeah, he's good. Teaching you a lie, but you want to hold on to the lie. Let's look at this. Being a whore is nothing more than anything else that's of the world. It's no difference. So if it's nothing more, what is going on here? He tells you clearly, meet not with a harlot, lest ye fall into her snares. That's fleshly or spiritual? Is that fleshly or is that spiritual? If you're going to worship God, you got to worship him how? I'm not going to even tell you how. If you're going to worship him fleshly, you got a problem. You got to worship him in spirit and in truth. So why are you going to act like a harlot, which you can physically see, who trade fornications for money? Let's look at some examples. The easiest way to do this is through examples in Scripture. There ain't nothing about what I'm saying. It's what these examples are going to show you. Would it make it clear? It says that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. Now, this is talking about a spirit. But people, oh no, it's a woman. No, it's a spirit. And they're going to flatter you with the words, pouring new wine into an old body, new doctrine into an old belief. This is what a harlot does. And where do they do it? Where? This I'm talking about is so clear. I'm talking about if it's in front of you, it'll hit every one of us. We'll all be dead. We'll be dead as a doorknob. Together. We'll all be laying in the streets. And it says, where? How were they flat? Thou hast built a high place on every head of the way, and thou hast made thy beauty to be a whore. They made his word, and he said, at thy word, we're going to do it, and we do not. They have built a high place on every head of the way and have made thy beauty to be abhorred. And now they have made the laws of God to be hated. And has opened thy feet to everyone that passes by to multiply thy whoredom. What does it say there? What does it say? We see right what it says. Meet not with the harlot. Can you explain this? Why we do this? Can you explain this? Why do we do this? Oh well, we should forsake not assembling ourselves. Can you explain why we do this? Meaning better what? This is saying this. We know right here it's saying meet not with the harlot to fall into her snares. And they're going to do this in these places And they're doing it in the places, but we'll go there. We'll go there, but we're going to be cool. Well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit there. I'm just going to congregate because I'm cool with other people. Really. We're going to sit there and you where sin is. This here, and we're going to continually get tied into this. Continually believe in certain, well, no, that's not true. Yeah, but I can agree with that. No, I don't agree with, no, but I agree with this. This is what we do. Good and bad. You know, it gets so bad to where it makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever. It goes down. It's telling you clearly here. It says, "Gaze not on a maid that thou fall not by those that are precious in her." That is precious in her. Precious in her. What is precious in her? Fleshly things. Fleshly things is precious in her. How? Let's go down. This is our problem. This is our problem, and we don't think it's a problem, but it's a problem. To show you even more, let's go down to Job 31. And he said, "I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?" If you made a covenant with your eyes, why are you going to think upon a maid? I'm trying to sit there to where we can sit and go through better verses to get better understanding of Proverbs 6:25 for this example to change many things that we need. It says, "Lust not after her beauty in thy heart." Lust not after her beauty in thy heart. What we'll do, we'll lust after anything that we want. We'll lust after a car. We'll lust after money. We'll lust after women. We'll lust after whatever we feel we need to gain what we believe. It tells you clearly, lust not after her beauty. Telling you this clearly right in scripture. And what do we do? You have a preacher some years back. He said he was married. He said the Lord showed him his wife. He's married. Keep that in mind. He's married. Showed him his wife, and it wasn't his current wife. What he said? Lust not after her beauty in thy heart. I see these millions. I see these people living up these millions. I need that. Now you're lusting after that. You're lust after anything that where you feel that is of the world. The things of the world is not the things of God. God owns it all. So none of those things going to inherit kingdom. So everything that you go out there and see everything out there, you're not going to see in the kingdom. And this is what we do. We lusting after power. We lusting after money. We lusting after just stuff that we want. The Lord ain't even put that there for you to lust after. Satan put it there. And we'll sit there, oh, I got to have this. I have to have it. Lust not after her beauty, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. Neither let thee take thee with the eyelids. We're going to do these things so fleshly, and we're going to be so adulterous about it, but we want to seek eternal salvation. It says, for by means of a whorish woman. So this that spirit that you're dealing with, a man is brought for a piece of bread. For a piece of bread. You bought on the simplest knowledge, and you bought, paid, and delivered. And the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. She got you, and she keep rolling. She can take your eternal salvation, and she keep rolling. Then took all the new wine, poured it into the old bottle, the bottle burst, and now your life is on the ground. This is the thing that's going on today. So we need to clearly get what is happening. And it gets better. It gets better as we go, and we're going to see more so what it, because in her is to get your salvation. That's what she wants. She wants your salvation. Meaning this. We're going to go over to 1 Peter. And to go down to this 1 Peter, we're going to look at this a little bit closer. Actually, we need 2 Peter. I'm sorry, 2 Peter chapter 1. Verse 1. It says, Simon Peter. So we know he was one of the ones that was on the ship. A servant and apostle of Yahushua Messiah, to them that have attained like precious faith. That's that precious thing, that precious faith with us through the righteousness, doing the commandments of God, of Yahweh and our Savior Yahushua Messiah. Are you following me? Drop down to verse 4. Whereby are given unto us exceedingly great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature. Of the divine nature, meaning what? Eternal life. Based on the promises made, based on your conditions in keeping his instructions. And you can be partakers of his divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Are you following this? This is how it is played. And he plays a slick game. His game is really good. Meaning many people are going to fall and many people are not going to fall, because we have a way that he have a way in doing this, in making this clear. Let's pull a little bit more information to get a better understanding. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 17. We're going to pick it up at verse 4. And it tells you, and it says, and the woman, which one? That strange hearted. That hearted. Going to get many. Meaning what? The woman arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Many of us are going to fall for this. Many of us are going to go through it. I don't care what we do. We're going to sit there. We're going to fall for it. We're going to fall for it either through friends, family, mother, father, husband, wife. We're going to fall for this. We're going to sit in there where abominations and all filthiness and fornication exist there. And they're going to look at it physically, not knowing it's talking spiritually all the time. When you sitting there and they speaking and they telling a lie about God, and it's not the God that's in the Bible, you're actually fornicating and committing adultery with that other spirit. Are you following it? This is the problem that most people have. They'll sit there and they'll sit in a church. I don't care who they are. You can sit in a church or sit where people is teaching a doctrine. And if it's not the doctrine that you see in the Bible, which they will tell, or many of them will take pieces out of the Bible and read a verse and proceed to tell you an entirely different thing, a whole nother doctrine. Same as they take the one with Peter, talking about Peter through that vision that Peter had, he cleaned all things so you can eat whatever you want to eat. Those doctrines, don't ever think that you're going to heaven or to eternity what you believe. Because all through Bible, all through it, if that's true, then that make him unjust in his own words. That'll make him so unjust because he punished the people in the old for what people saying he did in the new, making it seem as if he could not do this, cleaned everything. I can't do that. I'm just going to clean everything so everybody's welcome to come now. He never did that. You don't see that nowhere in Scripture. If he tells you something that's in the old, he's not changing nothing. But now in the New Testament, they're saying, well, no, he changed that. It's good now. Why? We can do it. Well, no. He came and then he fulfilled it, so now we can do whatever we want to do. Don't say that. This is where we have fallen, and many of us is going to die. Many of us are going to be in the lake of fire, and this is eternity. See, and then many people are going to go into the lake of fire, and it's not an end point. That's eternity. So the reason why most people need to think and really hold on to what you really know, you do not give yourself up for those. Meaning the entire thing is, once you know what the truth is, do not let that truth go to try to satisfy your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife. Don't you go try to satisfy your children. I don't care who they are. Don't go try to satisfy them by sitting where doctrine is not there. Because if you do, your eternity is on it. So if you do it, you deserve where you go. And then later you can sit there and you can complain all day, but that's never going to change anything. Why? Because you're going to be in the lake of fire. It don't change at that point. It's not where I gotta sit in here for 1,000 years and then I get it. No, that's eternity. You never coming out of there. That's a wrap. So nowhere in the world do you ever put your life on that line. But many are. Based on what? Based on people being charismatic. They can tell people, oh, well, you can do this and all these things, and God is good. All you got to do is give your money, do this, and, always be with this people, and we have the truth. And they teaching half truth and half lies. If that's what you believe, and that's what you want to hold to, then also be prepared to take on to the consequences or the non-consequences that comes with that. Because even the doctrine that we teach, it have consequences and non-consequences to it. Meaning what? Many people are not going to accept it, and many people are not going to accept it based on the precepts that are being presented to them. They're not going to believe it. And you got consequences and non-consequences with it. The same as you have a Christian teacher. You're going to have consequences and non-consequences with it. Why? Because if you believe on a lie, you got those consequences come to it. If you walk away, you got non-consequences to it. It's the same thing. You can't get around it. Somebody's lying. Somebody's telling the truth. You go in the Bible and you find out who's lying to you and who's not lying to you. If you can't find what they're telling you in Scripture, I don't even have to. It's like preaching. It's like preaching to the choir to try to tell people you can't find it in Scripture. And people say, "Well, man, you tell me it, and I always say it in Scripture." They'll tell you something in Scripture, and they'll read a verse, and they proceed to tell you entirely whole another thing. That's what we do. Why? Because we had let this woman do us in. Give not thy soul unto harlots. This is her. And it says, and the woman was arrayed in purple, scarlet, and decked in gold and precious stone. That's talking about you. Don't get caught up. Meaning what? Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness and fornication. And what? And upon her head was written mystery. This is the biggest mystery in the Bible, because she's going to get many. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. She's going to get many. People doing all these fleshly things, thinking they buying their way into the kingdom of God, and they're not. I saw the woman drunken with the life. This is not talking about blood. Life is in the blood. Blood is in life. Blood determines the long-term life. Is you going to live or not live? That's on a whole nother subject, but this is the lifeline of what you're going to do. And it's the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And I saw her, and I wondered with great admiration. Meaning what with this? These are the ones that did not make it. People will sit there and thinking that these are the ones that made it, and these are not the ones that made it. These are the ones where the harlot got them. These are the ones who believe in the 45,000 plus different doctrines. That's them. Is it you? Pouring new wine in an old bottle. This is real. But as people want to sit there and go along daily lives and think all this is cool and everything is cool and it's a game, and like I can do this at the last minute. So this is your problem right there. This is going to get so many people, it's unreal. I try to get people to understand this in this harlot. And why is it called harlot? Because she can sell things to you. You would trade your life for a plane. You would trade your life for $1 million. You would trade your life for a house. You would trade your life just to be with this church. You would trade your life to be leader of the choir. You would trade your life for being a preacher. You trade your life for these things. And she got you. Are you willing to do this? Many people is going to fall for this. Many people are going to show up in their churches believing they're still good. And when they appear before him, and the first thing going to come out their mouth, he already showed you ahead of time what they're going to say. Lord, Lord, have not we done these things? And he's telling you, he's going to tell them all, I never knew you. Depart from me, workers of iniquity. Don't let that be you. But let's get more. We pouring this new wine in old bottles. This new wine is being poured in these bottles, and it's not about that. So drop down to verse 10, and we're going to see a little bit more. It says, forsake not an old friend. It's too much in it. You know, for the new is not comparable to him. A new friend is as new wine. When it is old, thou shalt drink it with pleasure. Now you see the same as identical flip I've been telling you the entire time is what it's talking about right here. The same friend we've been talking about the entire time. Forsake not the old friend, not the old laws, but a new friend is as new wine. Why do we do these things? Let's go to John, 1 John. We're going to look at something in 1 John, chapter 2, we're going to go to verse 7. It says, brother, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which you had from the beginning, the old commandment which is the word which you have heard from the beginning. It's nothing new. So people done heard new things, and now they're trying to hold on to these new words and these new ways. How can you sit there and now all of a sudden it's a new way? Now I'm a Baptist, I'm a Methodist. They got people call themselves, well, I'm a holiness. Really? Holy? You're holy? Okay, you're holy. I'm Protestant. I'm Mormon. I'm Catholic. They all these things in these new ways, trying to put this new way in a whole bottle. We have so many people want to continue to do these things and have a belief. It's telling you, it's nothing new. It's an old friend that you put in the bottle, but it'll renew your mind. We have this problem that we just can't get away from, and we just keep going into deeper and deeper. So that same thing is the doctrine on what we've been talking about. Let's look at it a little bit closer with Hosea. Hosea explains this pretty good, and we're going to look at it and we're going to see what Hosea has to say about it. We're going to chapter 4 down to verse 11, and it says, whoredom and wine and new wine taketh away heart. Whoredom, wine, and new wine taketh away the heart. Are you with me? Wine and new wine. Teaching good and evil. Joel tells you pretty much the same identical thing in 1 and 5. Watch this. Watch, it says, awake, ye drunkard. You are so drunk with this doctrine, and weeping how all ye drunkard of wine, because of new wine, for it has cut off from your mouth. We're done. We're done. We're done in, and based on everything that's going in, to where if we don't do anything, we're going to be screwed over. which takes you also where we have to actually look at on the second part of this new wine in an old body. Why? Because this is what he's about. So we got to go to Hosea. We're gonna go to chapter 9. I put it over here, chapter 9, and we're looking at verse 2. We're looking at this because we have to understand how all this is blending in together to where we can get the understanding. And it says, and we're going to look at this, we're going to start at verse 2. And it says, the floor and winepress shall not feed them. What did I say? I told you all this is going to blend in. We're talking about spiritual bodies and the soul. So an example that I already gave you earlier was 1 Kings. Now, I go over there the way you can see it. Let's go over there the way you can see it. We're going to go over to 1 Kings chapter 6 in verse 15. He tells you this, and it's clear. Why? It says, thou hast built walls in the house within the boards of cedar in both the floors of the house and the walls of the ceiling, and covered them inside and out with wood, and covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. Told you to say all these gonna blend in together. You also got verse 30 in Matthew 3 and 12. The winepress is what it was talking about all the time. The winepress is separating the good and evil. Anyway, you right back to remember some of what we were saying earlier. Let's go to Lamentations, get a better understanding. Exactly the same place we were just there not too long ago. Go to 1:15, and he tells you, the Lord hath trodden under thy foot all my mighty men in the midst of men have called an assembly against me to crush my young men, and the Lord hath trodden the virgin of the daughter of Judah, as in a winepress. That is clear as day. Clear as day. This is clear as day. Let's drop down. We're going to look at a little bit more. Let's go down to verse 5 as we go through. It says, what will ye do in the solemn day, in the day of the Lord's feast of the Lord? So most people are still mix this up. The solemn day. Solemn day is telling them but about the day of rest. That's all they say. Rest. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, I don't know what they tell you in the concordance or those. Yeah, I don't know what, because I don't look in, so I don't know what they might tell you some long paragraph thing. But all this means is rest. Nothing more. Nothing more, nothing less. But he says, Egypt shall gather them, Memphis shall bury them, and the pleasant places of their silver, needless shall possess them. Netless shall possess them, thorns shall be their tabernacles. What is all this saying? One, Memphis is your key. This word right here. Actually, let me see if I can highlight that. That's your key right there. That's your key. Why is this a key here? Because I'm going to actually tell you what that actually means. See, because we have to always look at the functioning of that word and why he's saying that. Why is he saying that? One, Memphis, the function of that is mean just nothing. Either you can look at it two ways. You got the abode of the good one, that's all that means. Or you can also use the heaven of good men. Now, just because it's functioning that way don't mean that that's actually that way. And the reason why it's even said that is because that actually is more of an Egyptian understanding. Why? Because this was the capital of Egypt during the Old Kingdom. Memphis. Let's look at something. Let's go down to Ezekiel. And we gotta look at Ezekiel 13. and we're going to look at verse 3. We're going to go to verse, and it says, "Thus saith the Lord God, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirits and have seen nothing." They have seen nothing. Why? Because those foolish prophets in their own spirits, this is talking about them over there. Meaning the same thing that's been going on the entire time. So when we get down to Zephaniah chapter 3 in verse 4, her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. This is them. These are the ones on what they have done down there in Memphis. In Memphis. You drop down to verse 9, it gets a little bit more information on what we can do. Because why? It says, they have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeah. And some will say Gibeah, but I just Gibeah, because they use this E with an I, but it's Gibeah. And Gibeah don't mean nothing but a hill. That's all this is saying. He's giving you a clue on what's going on here, on what that is. He's telling you exactly what that is. Gibeah is a hill. And Gibeah, why he's telling you, as in the days of Gibeah, is what we were doing. We was getting new knowledge and trying to put new knowledge in the old body. And Gibeah is where the Ephraimites, where Ephraim was screwing up. That's all this is talking about. That's why it's telling you this. Why? In Gibeah, the Ephraimites received this inhospitable treatment, including this ill treatment that they received. They were receiving rape and murder, and then the concubines and all this war between Israel and Benjamin. So you can see all this where you see where they went into Gibeah. You see this in Judges, like in 19 and 20. You'll see that's going on. And later, in Gibeah was the home of Saul, and it centered even him in his career, as you're seeing. Actually, let me see. I believe that's one area where you can actually see it just direct, clear. But if you go read Judges 19 and 20, you'll see what I'm talking about there. But we're going to look at 1 Kings. We're going to look at 1 Samuel. That's the one I know. It's 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 10. So 1 Samuel 10, and I believe we're in, let's go 10, and here we go, 26. And it says, Saul also went home to where? To Gibeah. Letting you know. He went there and with him a band of men whose heart God had touched. So we know Saul was there to this place Gibeah. And telling you clear as day, it's telling you that is Egypt. That was the state of Egypt. That was the capital. That was the capital of Egypt. Meaning what? Verse 10, as it goes into this, in Hosea, it says, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness, and I saw your fathers as first stripe in fig trees at her first time, but they went to where? Baal Peor, and separated themselves unto that shame, and their abominations were according as thy love. Telling you clear as day. All the wickedness was left, and talking about what they were doing, and now what they were doing is down in the wilderness, just like going down into Gilgal. No difference. No difference. But as he said, the same thing which he was going to do with Israel is the same thing as what he talks about, to where he will roll away or he will remove your sins, as why you see that silhouette picture when you look at even with Yahushua, where it tell you the stone was what? Was rolled away. Meaning what? It's telling you clearly all day, which meaning your sins. All your sins would be done. Meaning what? The same thing like removing the cork out of the bottle. It's no difference. So let's look at this and we'll get the understanding there. So let's go to Joshua chapter 5. Chapter 5, and we're going to go down to verse 9. And it tells you clearly right here, and there where your key was all to the New Testament. And Yahweh said to Joshua, this day I have rolled away the reproach from Egypt from off you. So the same thing he's talking about. He rolled away. Same thing as the stone is rolled away. He's letting them know that that stone is rolled away, which now is opened up, which is talking about the bottle, which goes into a whole nother teaching. And wherefore name this place called Gilgal until this day. And then you'll see right there, the children of Israel encamped at Gilead and keep the Passover on the 14th day, and that's where it's telling you where everybody passed over for that day. So that's technically what's going on here, on where you can understand exactly how everything actually goes. So with that, I can make sure that everybody understood how this preparing your body, because when you try to pour new wine in an old body, it's going to burst. Meaning what? It's going to be destroyed. That's all he's been saying the entire time. That's why he's saying it's going to burst. That's why he says that. So hopefully everybody understood this lesson as we went through it. And we have to stop seeing so much stuff in carnal ways. He's talking many times, and pretty much every time, he's telling you spiritually. We just have to be able to see it, understand it, take it from the carnal and put it spiritually. So with that, I'm going to take a few questions. If anybody has any questions on that, I can take. I'm trying to see right now, and if not, we're going to go out. But hopefully you can get that done. And then actually tomorrow we actually have a pretty good teaching tomorrow. So we got Christian versus being called a Christian, which is a pretty good teaching. And so far I don't see anyone seeking any questions. So we're good so far. Let me see. And saying, Demetrius, Shalom, I'm still a little confused that Hebrews 10:24 and Jeremiah correlate with this. So let me, 1 second, let's look at something. So Hebrews, we're using 10:24. So let's go there and let's see what's going on here. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, 1 second. So we're going to go to 10:20. We're going to Hebrews 10:24. And seeing that they're correlating with what he was saying, is it's correlating with that, which was being said. 10:24. It says, let us consider one another to provoke unto love, unto good works. Okay, so what is that? So one, what do that have about? What is it talking about? The new wine. So it's saying, let us consider one another to provoke unto love, unto good works. So I'm trying to see what part are you trying to tie that to. So that's what I want to see. In 25, not forsaking the assembling of yourselves together as a matter of being exhorted. Okay, so right here, where you have the actual screw up. So, and I'm going to show you what's going on. So I'm going to show you the screw up right there. And 1 second, let me pour that in. Let me pour this in because I want to pour that in. And 1 second. So this is the problem. So this is the problem. let's go right here and we're going to go to First Corinthians. We're going to show you a screw up. And this is it. So this is what he's saying. So what we're going to do, we're going to go down to 11. We're going to go to verse 34. And we're going to find this out. It says, if a man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye come not together unto condemnation. So we got condemnation. So you're going to forsake not assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so the more that your day is approaching. So to show you where you're screwing up altogether is this. Is where you sitting there and you're looking at this, forsaking not assembling of yourselves, when? As he says, when he comes to set in order. But if you're assembling together, and you doing this clearly together, and you doing this into condemnation, what are you assembling for? You're assembling with somebody who's telling you a lie, but you holding on to this here, and he says, not forsaking assembling of yourselves together as a manner, what? Unto love and to good works. Talking about the law. Just assembling don't mean anything. But this is what I'm saying. So we have many people who are going to assemble just based on that alone. Let's look at the other one that you're talking about. Let's go to Jeremiah. And we're going to look at Jeremiah chapter 5 in verse 7. And it says, and how shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me, and sworn by them that them they are not gods. For I have fed them into the full. They then commit adultery and assemble themselves by troops in the haunted houses. Okay, one, you're actually contradicting yourself if you tying those two verses together. So if you're using those together, you're actually contradicting yourself, because you're just saying how do they correlate. But if you're correlating them together, you are actually contradicting yourself, because it's telling you clearly right here what this is saying over here. Because this here says, when you have fed them to the full and then commit adultery and assembled themselves by the troops in haunted houses, and he's telling you clearly right here, don't come together into condemnation. Come together into this, exactly what this is talking about. So I don't know what part that you actually have there. Then we have Numbers 13. Let's see together Numbers 13, and we're going to look at Numbers 13, 23. And we're going to go to Numbers 13, 23. And he's using 23, 24. It says, when they came to the brook of Esau and cut down from thence a branch and a cluster of grapes, and buried between upon two of the staff, and they brought they brought of the pomegranates in the figs, and the place was called the brook of Esau, because that the cluster of grape which the children of Israel cut down from thence. Okay, I don't know what you want to mean by that. It's talking about people. Yes, that is talking about people. If that's what you want to know? Yeah, it's talking about people. Because you got to remember what this is saying, but it's saying who cut it down. So understand what that's doing. Because let me see, I'm trying to see if anybody else asks any other question. Okay, so I can actually deal with this a little bit longer. Okay, so it says they came to the brook of Esau and cut down from thence the branch and one cluster of grapes, and they buried it in between two upon a shaft, and they brought of the pomegranates in of the fig. So just know what all that means. So this is all it's talking about people. And the place was called the brook of Esau because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel did come down from thence. It's telling you exactly what they did and what they came in and what they took off. So this here, we have to understand all this is spiritual, which it goes into where the figs is talking about people, the pomegranate is talking about people, and the grapes is talking about people. So we need to know what people he's talking about on that. So that's all you do. And you can flip that over because you can actually go down in and find out in the book of his scroll and find out who was actually there. And then you can see that exactly what happened. That's how you actually flip that around to understand exactly what was going on. That's the way you do that. But most people think that it just went into the land and they just cut down a tree and they just ate it. And that's not what it's talking about. It's actually telling you what they did. But if you go in there and you'll see what it's doing, you can find out exactly what was going on. So hopefully that did answer your question, but it's people. But to find out who those people was based on those fruit that he's talking about, you can find out who they're talking about. And that's pretty simple to find out. I just feel guilty because it's 10:25. I got clarification now. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Um, it's based on when you have knowledge or you get knowledge. And saying like with 10:25. So as you're getting the knowledge, but you have some, they're going to assemble themselves because they're going to forsake not assembling themselves. So they're going to hold to that. But you're going to assemble unto condemnation. And that's what it said. Come not together unto condemnation. But don't forsake assembling of yourselves the same as this, to where you can actually get precepts and understanding on what he's saying. That's all he's saying. And then what you can do is go through the precepts. So even once I gave you this, you go through them and you make sure what is being said here and what is being taught here goes with the law of God. If it's contradiction there, then I taught you a lie. That's the entire catch here. And most people sit there and say, well, he teaches this and says that. No, I can tell you affiliation what words mean to where you can get a deeper understanding and more clarity on what's happening. But it never can contradict from the beginning of the word or near the end of the word. It cannot contradict. If it contradicts, then it's not the Bible. I taught you a lie. Don't have nothing to do with the Bible. That's where the danger comes in, where other people sit there and say, well, they misunderstood it or you might misunderstand it. No. If I tell you, you don't do this, and I show you the scripture saying don't do this, and then it says something else over there, I can say, well, he changed it over here. No, the Bible didn't change. I changed it. Then I taught you to lie. That's how you do that. Don't never sit there and say, well, the Bible might be wrong. No, the Bible is never wrong. Only thing is wrong is the person and how the person seen it or understood the verse and based on many things that they have done. Actually, let me show you an example. Let me show you an example of that. One of the most famous ones people use. Famous one, Matthew 5:17. Everybody, more people screw this one up than the law. Think not that I come to destroy the law. Understand what he's saying? Destroy the or the prophet. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. One of the biggest, most controversial verses you can ever see. Why? Because they're going to tell you something like this and they screw it up. And they tell you right here, he came to fulfill the law. And he never said that. He said, think not that I come to destroy the law. So how he came to fulfill the law? He's going to obey the law, but he came to fulfill something else. How do we know? As I said, precepts going to tell you everything you need to know. And we're going to go to 3:18. 3:18. Yeah. Okay. It says, but those things which God before has showed by the mouth of all his prophets that Christ should suffer, he has so fulfilled. That's what he came to fulfill. How do we know he came to fulfill this? You can see one of his prophets in which Isaiah kind of talks it in detail on what went on. So when you want to see that, you go to Isaiah and go to chapter 53. And you can read this all the way down, and you can see what he suffered. And you go read chapter Isaiah 53, and you can also see right here in Daniel. I'm just showing you the spots where you can actually go and find what happened that he's going to suffer, that he so fulfilled. So you can go down here to also to Daniel chapter 9. You look in this. So I'm just running through it because I don't know if another question will pop up. That's why I'm doing it this way. So you go in there and you'll go down to Daniel chapter 9, and you can go all the way through. And now when you get down to verse 24, it's saying, actually, you can see in verse 23 where he started talking more, beginning of thy supplication, commandments came forth, come from thee. But it tells you right in here in verse 24, 70 weeks are determined upon the people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and bring an everlasting righteousness, and seal up the vision and prophecy, and anoint the most holy. That's all it's talking about. This is what he came to fulfill. Now, therefore, understand that from going forth, that the commandment restored and to build Jerusalem into the Messiah and Prince shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks, and the street shall begin in the wall even unto troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off. He's going to be killed. That's what he came to fulfill. That's all it's saying. It's telling you nothing more. He came to fulfill that, but not for himself. That's what he's talking about. And then it goes on. The prince of the people should come and destroy the city and sanctuary. He's going to come and destroy what? It's not talking about this, talking about people. This talking about your personal bodies. This is why I say this is how it screws everything up. Why? Because he tells you this. And this is why I say you got to get a little here, a little there. It's just how it tells you. And why? This is why he says you better understand Daniel. He's not asking you. You better understand Daniel, because if you don't understand Daniel, I can tell you right now, you will be destroyed. He tell you this right here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. You can't let nobody deceive you. But people will be deceived. Why? For that day should not come except they be a fallen away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Why? Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, sitting in you, showing himself that he is God. This is all this is going to happen. But the thing is, the problem people are going to have is sitting there thinking that they're going to sit there and they understand the book of Daniel. And they don't. Most people, the most dangerous thing I can tell people is what? Is you have prophecy teachers. You have a ton of, about thousands out there. People who listen to them and look at them, best thing for me to recommend, you don't even look at that kind of crap. They're telling you things and they're not telling you what is right. They're going to tell you, oh, so when this happens, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. But then all you got to do is wait till those things go to pass and then go back to them and ask them, that didn't happen. They told you about, I know people have been talking about the 4 blood moon. You're going to have 4 blood moon and all kind of hectic stuff going to happen. 4 blood moons and came and gone to them. Now they're on another kick. Obama is Satan. All this stuff going to happen. Obama then came 2 terms, gone. Donald Trump is Satan. Donald Trump is fulfilling prophecy. Show it to me. See, these are the problems that we run into. Why? Because you have people giving you these false prophecies that is not in Scripture. And this is okay. So again, so you want to ask why does corn appear in scripture 30 times and only indigenous in the Americas. Okay, then you tell me. So see, you have people who put stuff like that makes no sense. You're talking about it's indigenous and corn is only in the Americas. So how do one? And my question to you, and this is Richard Blue, how is it indigenous only in America? Two, so was Yahweh and them in America? Because you saying it's indigenous there. You saying it's only indigenous here in America. So you tell me how was they talking about corn there? You tell me that. And then actually, even when it was written, and when the Bible was actually put all together over in the European, you tell me how were they already talking about it there. So you explain that to me. And actually, corn is actually in the Bible and is actually in the ancient writing. So you tell me how did it get there? You tell me how I got there, and then we'll go from there. So this is the person where they want to sit there. So I need to know. Because you saying it's indigenous in America. So you tell me how it's indigenous in America. So I need to know how you know. And the most I didn't know. So let me see. And it says that it show the new wine in two verses shows Judah showed righteous and not taking new wine but kept in faith. Okay, let's go to Judith. Let's go to Judith 1 second. And that's one of my deacons where I'm going to it. So I want to sit there and see. We're gonna go to Judith 12 and 1, and I still want that guy Richard Blue. I want him to show me where corn was indigenous to the Americans. I need him to show me that. And Judith 12:2. See, the one thing I do not accept is 12:1. It says, and he commanded her that word his plates were set and invaded her to prepare her own meat that she should drink of his own wine. Yeah, yeah, that's a good pull. And you can see right there of his own wine. So that's technically what he wanted to do. He wanted her to drink of that knowledge that he has. Technically, all he was saying. Technically, all he was saying. But I do need Richard to actually show me that that wine is indigenous, that corn is indigenous to the Americans. I need to see it. See, and this is the thing. This is why I say, even with anyone, people will tell you things like this to throw you off. To say, oh, well, it's only indigenous. Okay, show me that it was indigenous only to America. So first, prove that to me. And then I answer your question. But pretty much, you can see right now, he's not answering. The reason he ain't answering because he can't prove it. The reason he can't prove it because I guarantee you, he had to find that either out of commentary or out of concordance or wherever they get that kind of information from. That's why they do that. And that's why I also tell people, don't never hold on to something where people pour this kind of stuff on. And you should never shy away from it. You hit it dead on. Same thing like he's saying. So my thing is, as they sitting there and they telling you, and it's not his sitting there to tell you to reprimand anybody, but I'm just letting you know where people will sit there and they're pour theology, because this is a theory. This is a theory he's actually posting. It's not doctrine. But he's saying, why does corn appear in the scriptures over 30 times? So he's saying, why is it appearing in scripture over 30 times? And he said it was only indigenous in the Americas. So he's saying it appearing in 30 times. So he's making he's placing a fact in there, which I haven't checked on how many times it's posted in there, but I say I'm gonna take his word for it. It's 30 times. He says it's in there 30 times. Now, he's saying it's only indigenous in America. Okay, prove it. And I'm getting ready to check this real quick to see how many times it's actually in the Bible, because I got another tool to where I can actually pull that. And to tell you right now, again, that is not true. Actually, to be honest, corn shows up exactly, because I got a tool to actually pull words to see how many times it actually shows. It actually shows up 107 times. So you're off 70. You're off 77 times. So it actually shows up 107 times in the verses. And it's in result in verses, and it's in 99 verses. Just to let you know. So it's in 99 verses. Yeah, next Sunday you might got 100 times. You might got to pull it with the Apocrypha. Check it with the Apocrypha. It's going to show up 107 times, and it's in 99 verses. Clear as day. So this is why you never take this and actually for some reason he chose not to. He's not posting anything else right there. But the main thing is, when someone tell you anything like that, or they make an assumption or something, they try to put the burden on you to prove something. And my burden of proof is just show me one where it's indigenous one in the Bible, because it makes no sense. Because what it'll do, it'll contradict everything. And actually, the first time it actually showed, I will go to, actually, I'll pull it up. I'll show you, and it shows you right there in Genesis 27. Let me show you the first time it actually shows up in the Bible. We're going to go there, and it's verse 28. And let me see, 27. Uh-oh, I went past it. 27, 28. Let me get there. Okay, so now let me pull that verse up so we can get it. And we're going to sit there and we're going to look at it. So, we're looking at it right here. In Genesis 27:28, it says, therefore, God give thee the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth. And this is actually Jacob talking. This is actually Isaac talking. Of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. So, were they in the Americas? So that'll be my question to him, because that'll be my question. So if he's saying this right now, and Isaac said, "Come near and kiss me," and my son came near, kissed him, and smelled his raiment, and blessed him, and he smelled his son as the smell of the field, and the Lord has blessed him. Therefore, God give thee the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. So again, we basically we're sitting this because he's saying he got the information available on Google. Okay, so Google. Oh boy. I don't. Uh, please don't. Yeah, don't post here with information from Google. Don't do that yet. You probably new here, but don't do that. Don't do that. I'm asking you, don't do that, because the information on Google. If you believe Google, then go to Google Doctor. I don't hold a Google Doctor. So Google can sit there and say it's indigenous there. If you want to believe Google, you believe Google. I'm gonna believe the Bible. So, and yeah, and actually, Deacon Smith actually saying the correct thing, because even in there they tell you that in the Bible that Jesus is white. You go right through their doctrine, and that's what it tells you. So we have those things. We gotta, and a lot of people do this. They go for they give them that, and this is the biggest problem they try to keep from doing, and they still same thing like this. This guy, I guess we're gonna catch him on this. Have nothing to do with it. So yeah, Richard Bowie, yeah, don't. You know, but when you start researching from Google and open that Google, it's giving you some information. Technically, waste your time even doing research and you're doing research in the Bible. One of the worst things you can do. And, let me see. Yeah, can you keep yourself? Can we keep ourselves from human uncleanness? We've spoken in Leviticus 15:1-2. Let's go to Leviticus 1-2. Leviticus 1-2. Let's go there. And one second, Leviticus 15. Okay, and it says, taking and saying, he can children is and saying issue out of his flesh. Your key here, when any man has a running issue out of his flesh, that's what you need to understand right there. So what is the of being unclean? And I'm trying to say what you might. Well, I'm done. So be on to something else. And so 15, we need to see what you got there. So we need to understand what that's talking about. We need to see what that is talking about. So I want to see what's your understanding there. Yeah. What is your understanding of that? And that was your Thomas. So speaking, I want to see what he meant, how you see that, because there's clear things there. But I see it's. Let's go to Leviticus, and we're gonna go to 22. In 22, we got to see what this running issue is. We want to see what it is. So it says right here. Dang it, went too far. And it says, "What man soever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or hath a running issue." So we want to see a person that has a running issue. He should not eat of the holy things until he be clean, and whosoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goeth forth from him. So this is telling you what is going to, what is going in. But now we're gonna find out what this is. So now, brother, I'm just gonna some things you, because you saying how you keep yourself where you find out actually thing whereby he is unclean. A man who may take uncleanness whatsoever is unclean, he uncleanness he hath. His soul shall his soul which have touched any such unclean thing until even, and shall not eat any holy thing unless he wash his flesh with water. So it's what most as he continues to go down. It says he shall be unclean, whether running issue in the flesh be stopped. So now every bed thereon he lieth with the issue unclean, everything whereon he sitteth, it shall be unclean. So now everything he's talking about is unclean. But what is so he's saying anything that is spiritually unclean to God, like if someone is sitting there and they preparing bacon in a pan, they're preparing the bacon in a pan. Let's just say they do it. And as they prepare the bacon in the pan, and then gonna watch you take it, you're gonna watch it and then you're gonna make you some chicken just for that. Okay. As soon as you grab it, you became unclean. That's what that's saying. You automatically became. So it's telling you don't be unclean because if you use that pan, then don't use that pan. Don't. You can turn that knob off that knob. And say break up. Let me check the pan. Shit. Yeah, I don't know why. But for some reason, pushing it stopped. So I leave it like I leave it as it is. But questions. And I don't see any other questions. So what I'll do is to finish and go ahead. I said tomorrow will be when I pick up you have our normal Saturday teaching. We should have that. And then on Sunday we go on. So with that, since we see no issues, hopefully we can continue to move forward. All questions is answered. We don't see any questions that need that is there. Let me see. Off this other one where I can see it. Let me see.
Let me tell you why you're here. Because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter driving you mad. Do you want to know what it is? You can feel it. You go to work. When you pay your tax. It is the world that your eyes blind. Everyone else you bondage. That you cannot smell, taste, or touch. Prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and leave whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth.